Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, and welcome to Getting to Know Your Local Police, a regular series that we have begun to help acquaint you a little bit with the work of police here in Huntsville and the surrounding area, I guess, as well. We're glad that you're here with us today, and we have another opportunity to talk with another officer. Officer Doug Hemphill is with the West Precinct, and we welcome him to the broadcast today.
I appreciate you having me.
It's good having you here today. You know, we've been doing this series because we really want the community to learn more about police officers, not so much in terms of there's a mystery involved with who police officers are, but you wear the badge, you wear the uniform, and we see you in a certain kind of way. Sometimes we forget that you're human beings just like we are. You have emotions and other kinds of, you have family, you got, bills to pay, you got all those kinds of things that go on in the context of your life. But we thought that this would be a great way to just simply introduce our community to the great work that you're doing and just affirm the value of having police officers in our community. So again, thank you for what you do.
Appreciate it.
Where are you from?
I'm from here, Huntsville. Went to school at Hazel Green High School, and then, just been living here ever since I graduated high school in the city.
Yeah. When did you learn that you wanted to be a police officer? I always wonder how that happens with people.
It just kind of happened. I mean, I'm one of those people, I can't sit behind a desk, and anesthesiologist, that didn't really work out for me. So it was the next best thing.
All right. I love that. Anesthesiologist or police officer. Yeah. That's, two great professions, by the way, but, you certainly landed a great one, we think. And of course, your dad's a police officer, I understand.
Yes, sir. He retired in 2006, and he still works for the city, doing the retirement officer that they have hired. And I seen what he did, and obviously since growing up, I've been around police officers, and it was a profession that I considered and ultimately chose.
Yeah. How much of that do you think weighed upon your decision to be a police officer? Because again, as a person in the general public, we don't always know the life of the police officer. We know them in the uniform, but we don't know the life. But you saw your dad come home every day from the job and saw lots of things, I'm sure. But how much of what you saw him doing as a police officer might have influenced your decision to become a police officer?
I mean, it was just an area that I saw, and I was comfortable with law enforcement officers. So that helped, but I mean, as far as he didn't really, reach out to me to be a police officer. I told him I had interest, and he said, if you want to do it, go do it. And, he just let me make my own decisions and kind of discover what I want to do and learn the job for myself instead of trying to, show me the ropes, so to speak.
Yeah, and I'm sure you appreciated that.
Yes, sir. It's helpful. I mean, it does help having a dad who's been in there, been a police officer who understands what's going on if I needed somebody to talk to. And then also for the older guys who've been here, if I have questions, they know my dad, so it's easier for me to go to them to answer any questions that I may have that I experience along the way in the job.
Yeah. Which academy were you in?
I was in the 50th session.
All right, so you've been an officer now for how long?
It'll be 5 years.
Yeah, as you look forward to this 5-year celebration, I love anniversary dates, and 5 years is an anniversary. There's a lot that's happened in 5 years. Obviously, you've grown, you've learned, you've experienced lots of things. What would one thing of maybe many things that you would have experienced or learned from stands out for you the most in these 5 years?
I mean, the biggest thing is just the knowledge that I've learned and being able to interact with people. You're able to go on calls that, when you first get out here, you're like, what do I do? Because there's wild calls that you're just, they try to prepare you for, and sometimes you get out here and it's just, it's a mess, and you got to sort it all out. And, through the experience of the 5 years I've been here, there's not a whole lot that I've seen in 5 years that I'm not ready for now compared to what I was when I first got cut loose.
What's the toughest kind of call, and this may vary, I'm sure, from one situation to the next, but generally, is there a toughest kind of call that you're going to respond to?
I think for most officers, including myself, it's anything to do when a child's a victim. Those are some of the hardest calls to deal with, because a lot of officers have kids and stuff, and they're kids and they're very innocent. So for that, I think myself and pretty much every officer, those are the hardest calls to deal with.
Yeah.
When you have an innocent victim.
Yeah, yeah. What's the toughest part about your job, other than the tough call that you might have to make on a day-to-day basis as you think about what you do from day to day?
It's a good question. I don't really have an answer for that. I just kind of go with it. Whatever pops up, I try to do it, and there's always other officers to come help you. So, I just don't have a good answer for you on that one, unfortunately.
So just being flexible, obviously, is an asset to the
Yes,
work
sir.
that you do, and being able to adjust.
You have to be able to handle anything, but you also have to be able to accept help from other officers, and anybody who's willing to give you help. You can't be closed-minded as an officer.
Yeah, well, keeping an open mind certainly is a good thing in most places in life. So that's a good thing to know. My final question for you today is, what do you enjoy most about your work?
Being involved in the community. You get to see what's going on in the community, and then you also get to make a lot of contacts. So you get to, see what's actually happening instead of just hearing on the news and stuff. And you get to see the good instead of the bad. I mean, we see a lot of bad, obviously, in the news and media. They kind of, sometimes you get a lot of negative of what's going on in the community. But, this job I can see a lot of good as well and get to be involved in, that's one of the perks of the job. And then also just the relationships you can build out here through the officers. That's another perk of the job. You get to build some strong relationships that carry on with you throughout your entire career in life.
Yeah, and making that difference is so valuable and so meaningful. And I think that's why I personally appreciate the work of police officers and the sacrifice that you make every single day. And thank you again for what you do.
Appreciate it.
Officer Doug Hemphill is with the West Precinct, and we thank him for being a part of our broadcast today. I'm Kenny Anderson, and we'll see you again for our next edition of Getting to Know Your Local Police Officer. Thank you for being here.